It's 8:30 Eastern Time, the only time zone that saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus last week, and that means it's time for C2C Live, brought to you by CampusToCanton.com. That's Matt Bruening, that's Chris K, I'm Austin Nace. On a red carpet version of tonight's show, we give out awards for the 2025 college football season. The coaching carousel is slowing down, and an interesting name or two in the portal that we thought that we would cover. All that and more right after the stinger. No mommy kissing Santa Claus for you, Chris? Okay. No.
I was just very much thrown off. I didn't know where you were going to go with that. And so I was thrown off by that. It was interesting. Yeah. Also, too, I don't think you read from the show sheet because I don't think it says anything about, I think that says that's Matt Bruening. He's the wonderful Chris K. So
that part I have memorized
as well. Yeah. So
I have that. that I don't read the cue cards for that portion. You got to get Ron Burgundy on the earlier part. You don't. You can't get him there. I missed last week's Christmas episode, so I figured I would come on here and at least drop some sort of festive intro.
That was good. I liked it. Yeah, it was good. It's one of your better ones.
It's nice.
Thank you. Do you guys have a favorite Christmas song, by the way?
No, I listen to, if I was to play Christmas music, I would do Michael Bublé. I don't know. That's just me. He's a big fantasy football fan too, by the way. So he kind of vibes. Yeah. He was on the Ringer NFL podcast show. It was actually really pretty funny and interesting. So yeah.
He did a show with Rich Eisen one time too, talking about how he's in
how he loses
6 fantasy football leagues.
Yeah, he loses 9, loses them all. Yeah. He's really quite funny. It was pretty interesting.
Huh. All right. Well, I learned something tonight. All right. Well, yeah, I think we ran down all the things we're going to talk about real quick before we get into the show, guys. Like the video if you're here live with us, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff on the YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, which I know a lot of people do, if you haven't already done a 5-star rate and review, all that good stuff, let us know. Let us know if it should have said the wonderful Chris K. Is he deserving of that moniker? Let us know in the chat or in a 5-star review. Home Field Apparel promo code C2 or Campus to Canton get you 15% off. 2 of us got the memo tonight on that. Rock the Home Field Apparel. One of us didn't. I'm not going to name any names. Do you not have any Ohio State home field stuff?
No. Why would I buy Ohio State? I have enough Ohio State stuff. No.
I did the home field subscription the first 2 years, and the worst part about it was they did Ohio State, and I didn't skip it. You could skip it, and I didn't, and it's the best fitting shirt that I got of all of them. Of all the ones, because they all vary a little bit. It is by far the best fitting one of all of them, and I'm I just can't wear that.
It's because we're the best, Chris K. We're the best.
Well, if you want to know a dirty secret, I actually did something similar with a mystery box one time. And I got this WVU t-shirt that I'm wearing underneath here tonight. Obviously, as a Pitt fan, no bueno, but it is my best fitting shirt. So it is funny how that works for us. The shirt we least want ends up being the best one for us. So yeah, promo code Campus to Canton, 15% off over there. And then we are partnering with Fast Draft. Fast Draft, really cool best ball app here in the off season. Obviously, they don't have the college best ball that we, and by we I mean Chris K. Does a lot of work on during the year. Balling with my bestie. If you haven't listened here on the podcast feed, go check that out. But we're partnering with Fast Draft specifically because they have a contest that just opened. It's called Origins. It is a 2026 best ball contest for rookies only in the NFL. So you draft a team of, I believe, 8 players. It's 8 teams in a draft, and then you start 6 of them six scores end up counting every single week. Positionless, so you can draft 6 quarterbacks if you really, really want. Take your chance. I don't think that would ever happen, but you're welcome to do it. So you can use our promo code C2C when you sign up over at Fast Draft. Get you a deposit match up to $50. You can hop in there and start drafting that now. I've already got a few teams. I'm real heavy on Carnell Tate already, so I don't know.
I have this working theory that you should just draft Ohio State receivers. Like,
You know,
I'm
there
in
are
full
worse
dynasty
strategies.
leagues, and
Yeah.
that's like in my head, I'm just like, why did I skip on Emeka Egbuka and take this guy instead? Like, you know, like why not I just go for Ohio State guys? So yeah, that feels like a pretty decent. I actually have said to myself in the last week or two, like Carnell Tate, no matter what, because I have like my 2 dynasties. I'm picking 10th and 11th. I didn't win, but I got close. So I'm like, I feel like he could kind of be there in that range. So I'm like, Carnell Tate, no matter what.
I'm thinking about taking him 102 in my home dynasty.
Just depends on where they go, right?
Yeah, landing spot's going to be big there. And yeah, we don't know any of the landing spots or anything yet. I don't know how long this contest stays open, but I think it's going to fill like before the draft and stuff, like before we get landing spots. So I think that's going to be the other challenging part of this. I'll definitely be doing some sort of content around this in the next few weeks as I start getting a better feel for what this looks like. But just wanted to throw that out there. Go over to Fast Draft, download the app if you don't already have it, sign up, and again, use our promo code C2C for a deposit match up to $50. I think we want to open with Kyle Whittingham because that happened after, I think officially happened after we recorded last week for the holiday. I felt like kind of the last real option on the board, but it's not a bad one. I would argue. Whittingham, who seemed like he was going to be a Utah until he died, and then he wasn't. Spent 32 seasons with Utah, 21 years as the head coach. Overall, his record as the head coach there: 177 wins and 88 losses. Had an 11-6 bowl record, and was forced out, that's so to speak, for the coach in waiting, Morgan Scalley, who was the defensive coordinator there this offseason. Chris, you are the Michigan man of the group.
Well, I would say Michigan fan. I don't want to put Michigan man. I feel like it's got a bad connotation. I feel like Matt, I don't remember. Did I bring up? I think we talked about names, and then I said at the very end. I think Kyle Whittingham's getting some buzz. And
yeah, you did.
I'm gonna act like I was very positive about it. This is one of those ones I think that is like when you first heard it, you're like, I don't think I like that. And then I think the more that time goes on and like the hirings go on, right? Like specifically with the hoodie I'm wearing with the Hokies, it's like I like the hire. I want to hear what else is going on. Like what else? Like is it recruits? Is it coordinators? And with Michigan, it's like I think Beck as an OC is a great OC hire. They got the BYU guy as DC. So like to me, it's like everything is lining up really well. I really like the hire at this point. I don't think this is to the level of like Ethan and Slack tried to make it sound like this is like Penn State levels of like just like being cool like with whatever we got type of thing. But yeah, I mean, guys are proving whatever. What's really funny is he played against Michigan in the Rich Rod and Harbaugh debuts and gave him losses.
There we go.
So I really like the hire. I think a pretty good fit. I think there's a potential of like kind of like a little safety blanket of Devin Dampier if Bryce Underwood wants to leave. Beck is a great, like maybe Beck's the coach in waiting 5 years from now, right? Like I think there's the possibility of like when Whittingham is gone, that Beck is potentially there to be the next guy. And that would be an interesting hire. I think he's done a good job so far as well. So in recent years. So I like it overall. And I think it's one of those ones that it's an acquired taste as the days go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good hire. They kind of lucked their way into that one with everything that happened. Not just obviously the stuff that happened with Sharon Moore, but then kind of what was left on the coaching market for them to get a proven coach. I mean, he is one. I mean, Austin, you just mentioned it was a 177 and 88. And that wasn't even just in the Pac-12. That was also with with Utah coming over to the Big 12. He was winning there as well. The one thing I appreciate about a coach like Kyle Whittingham is he's also been willing throughout his time as a head coach to kind of switch his offensive systems and kind of be a little bit more modernized, which we haven't seen from other ones, Dabo Sweeney, where that has not necessarily worked out. Whittingham has actually been willing to do that and kind of take his hands off of the offense and let them go, which I do think is actually a good thing for Michigan. I mean, Chris, you just mentioned, maybe falling back into Devin Dampier. Bryce Underwood seems thrilled. Everything that I've seen from his quote says that he's excited to be working with Whittingham. And I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, he does seem to be a very good head coach. I mean, he's a guy. I mean, Austin, I know we talked about it. It was before Chris joined us this year on C2C Live. We did kind of our predictions. And I remember you had Utah winning. And I was like, that's the team I think could probably win too, but I took Arizona State. I mean, I think a lot of that comes down to just the respect that so many people have for Whittingham as a coach. So weirdly enough, again, I'm just a fan of college football, but I really thought it was like a good thing for Big Ten teams to kind of see Michigan going through this. And then they luck box their way into a very good head coach. I don't know that he'll be there for long. I think this is probably like a 3 to 5 year thing. I don't know. We're looking at like a decade long run here with Whittingham, but I would say that with what he's been able to do with the talent he's got at Utah and how productive he made them as a school and legitimately a contender every single year, again, in the Pac-12 and the Big 12. I think Michigan's got to be pretty excited right now. I mean, they made a good offensive coordinator hire, in my opinion. And well, I guess it's rumored. I guess it's not official yet, but he's trying to bring Jason Beck over, who, we've seen what he's done with quarterbacks, going back to Brennan Armstrong at Virginia. I was looking back at some of his stuff when Beck was the offensive coordinator of Virginia, really good run games as well when he was there in Virginia. So like that alone gets you excited if you're a Michigan fan, right? I mean, that's kind of been their thing for the past couple of years, ground and pound, good defense. Again, Kyle Whittingham has got that background in defense as well. So I think that at the end of the day, this is going to be a great thing for the Wolverines. And I'm legitimately excited about Bryce Underwood as well, because that was kind of our big conversation last week, Chris, was like, what is this going to look like for a guy who I think has the opportunity to be one of, if not the best quarterback in college football over the next couple of years?
It didn't feel like there were a lot of options that kept Underwood and like kept him happy. And this feels like one that definitely could. I think from like a Michigan coaching standpoint, if Dillingham was truly available, then they screwed that up. Like there's not enough money in the world. Like you could do that. You could spend that. That you can't possibly not have the money to spend up for Dillingham. So they could have messed that up. But if maybe he wasn't available, maybe he was hesitant or whatever, this is still a very good hire.
I love this hire. I think I thought Penn State fell, butt backwards into a stronger hire than we thought. I mean, what Michigan was down to, you either keep Biff Poggi for a year, or Kyle Whittingham. Those were the options at this point, right? Like that. Not only is that a significant glow up from that, but I just think like Sharon Moore is a terrible coach. I mean, just this like the luckiest turn of events that you could ever have happen. With these set of circumstances. Yeah, he's not like your forever coach. I think that's overrated anyway. How many coaches in college football right now have been at their current stop longer than, 7 years? Not a lot of them. There's maybe 8 to 10, but there aren't that many, especially in the Power Four. So I don't think the longevity is an issue. He's just a good coach. He's been very, very successful. I think he'll modernize what Michigan is running there. I mean, I just think this is like a home run. I know I listened to the Cover 3 guys talk about this because they always do, the coaching announcements. And they were saying they didn't really think that there was national championship ceiling here with him. I think there is. I don't know why you would think that there wouldn't be with Michigan's infrastructure and the kind of money that they can throw around. In his kind of coaching chops, if they've already got the QB in place, I mean, I think this is a real chance that they could be a serious national championship contender within the next 2 years with Underwood still there. I think that's firmly in the cards, firmly on the table for them. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really, really awesome hire for them because Whittingham clearly wasn't like, it's not like he retired and then kind of came out to do this. Like, kind of got forced out because you can only drag your feet so long and with what he did at Utah. But yeah, I just this hire makes so much sense.
Yeah, I think Matt made a good point. So let's screenshot that, timestamp that. That I think like he's been
going
very
to New Year strong. I love it. Thank you, Chris K.
He's been very willing to change what needs to be done. Like I think going into the year, everybody was like Devin Dampier, I don't know about the change from G5 to P4, but also like, is Whittingham going to be like okay with him running a quarterback a bunch? And guess what? They're running Dampier a lot. Like he was a very good P4 quarterback. Like he wasn't to the level of what he was at G5, but he was very good. And so I think that type of like agility is really interesting. And I think at this day and age, if you can be in the top 12 every single year, yeah, you have a high floor. But like I think we've seen that, and even limited 2 years, that like, if you're in, you have a real shot. So I don't think there's any sort of like ceiling that's lower because of them. So I agree with you. Like I think as long as you can make it to the dance, it's 12 teams. Like you have a real shot at making it to the championship, and then anything can happen.
You a little worried as an Ohio State fan, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, again, I do think it's a very good hire. What I actually don't know is because I don't remember Utah being super high in a lot of the recruiting classes. Now, some of that, again, might be just the Utah side of things and not necessarily the Michigan. So I don't know that you can correlate those. That'll be the thing that I'm very interested to see because Sharon Moore did, for the most part, kind of keep that going after Harbaugh left and having a very good recruiting class. I imagine Whittingham will be able to do that. But yeah, again, I think it is a much better hire than I expected. I think if they would have kept it with Biff Poggi, I think, if you're an Ohio State fan, again, I am not an Ohio State fan. I don't know why I get accused of this. I'm a fan of college football.
What are you wearing right there, Matt? What are you wearing on your shirt?
It's a Nike hoodie. Oops, wrong side.
Oh, just Nike.
Okay. It's Nike. I'm just there's a playoff game going on tomorrow. I'm just representing a team. I just picked one. I like gray, so I just picked a team.
We got to get you like one of those NFL hats, like what's his name was wearing.
Yeah. I need one actually. Regardless, if they would have stuck with like Biff Poggi, I think if you're Ryan Day and the Buckeyes, you're excited. You're excited what the next maybe year or a couple years looks like because I think you feel you've got a good chance to continue to dominate the Big Ten or at least win the game rivalry, right? And even if they would have gone, I think even if they would have gone and got Dillingham, I think you would have felt okay. Not great about it, but I think you would have felt okay. I mean, Whittingham, again, I think is just a proven head coach. I think it's a great thing for them. And I don't see how this is a bad hire for Michigan in any way. I really don't. I see some people talking about the narrative that him getting pushed out. I mean, hang on. Let me pull the stat back up here. He was there for 32 years, 21 years as a head coach. And
how long had they had like the coach in waiting thing for Morgan Scalley? Outside of that year or two where they took it away from him, I don't know if people are really that familiar with that controversy. Because that was one that like wasn't super national news.
No, I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, I don't know either.
He texted a recruit accidentally. Thought he was texting another coach, and he texted a recruit, and he was calling a recruit the N-word.
Oh boy.
Morgan Scalley was, not Whittingham, just to be clear about this. Came out like years after the fact, I think, but they stripped him of that title for a little bit, and
they made him earn it back, huh?
Yeah. So it's not that well known. It's surprising how many people have never ever heard about that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna Google that, but I'll take your word for it.
If you Google like Morgan Scalley texts, I think it's like one of that's what the results will give you. But one other note that I think is really important for this, I think it was really important for Michigan to not hire somebody who's been involved with everything that's happened there under Harbaugh, essentially. Like totally fresh start. Because even bringing back Jed Fish, which was I was a kind of a proponent of making that hire. I think he would do a good job there. He was there during that run. I had forgotten about that initially. I think getting out from all those guys is really, really important because you've tried keeping it in house for a while here now, and you won a national championship out of it. Don't get me wrong, but I think your reputation is sort of mud at the moment in terms of morality and all that kind of stuff in the college football world.
Yeah, I think Michigan man is kind of like I just kind of said maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago, like, hey, no, I'm a Michigan fan. That's like what you're saying is like there's definitely a negative connotation to that term, and you know what? Like, get away from it. Like, what is a Michigan man really gonna do? Like, because someone went to Michigan, they're gonna be better at coaching Michigan football than a random guy that's just a really smart, good coach. Like, it's stupid. So, Harbaugh, they lucked into it. Michigan lucked into it because Michigan man and also great coach. But, like, that doesn't have to be the prerequisite. So get away from it, especially with all the stuff that's happened in the last 5 years or whatever. So I agree. I think that's a nice little added bonus at the very least to the hire.
Well, the coaching carousel is slowing down here. The transfer portal, though, is just heating up. I know we want to talk Cam Coleman, Deuce Knight, because those kind of are the two hot big names that have just entered the portal. But there's something that both of those players have in common, and that's the fact that they are fleeing an Auburn program that all of a sudden seems like it's a little bit on fire. They haven't been terribly successful over the past couple of years anyway, at least relative to expectations. But they've got a good portion of that team now is leaving. Before we specifically talk about Knight and Coleman, guys, and I guess Chris, I'll just come to you again since you also, Auburn's a team that you have a rooting interest in. I mean,
do you see an Obby over here?
He's back there somewhere.
He's got it. Yeah, he's just off camera.
I think he's.
Oh, there he is.
Moved. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
You gotta move. The Whittingham hired. Got to move him over.
What I mean, I'm a little surprised none of these guys want to stay and play for Goalish, right? Unless there was just so much bad stuff going on behind the scenes that this is just like a short-term loss for long-term gain for some of these guys.
I think there's a little bit of like, if you're Cam Coleman, you can get money, right? Yeah, wherever you go. I mean, like his talent speaks for itself. But like, do I want to play for a guy with like a gimmicky G5 offense? Like, I can understand why if Cam Coleman's like, yeah, I made my money here and I can make my money elsewhere. Why would, like, I haven't been talked about from a statistical standpoint here, only highlight standpoint. Like, why not? Right? Like, why would I stick around for a changeover for 1 year? Like if he wants to win, even like that's not really the place to stay at. So I don't look at it from a Auburn's on fire perspective. I could see why anybody would say that, but like to me, it's like you brought in a G5 coach. Like if you're a very good player that can command money, like Deuce Knight can, Cam Coleman, go to a more solidified program that has a more like higher likelihood of winning a lot of games. Like I don't see it as like any sort of negative towards Auburn, the program, as much as it's just a couple guys that are really good potentially that could command a lot of money anywhere and go get it somewhere a little bit more solidified.
Yeah, I would not put the two of them in the same category. I think Cam Coleman can choose, I would say, almost anywhere he wants to go. Deuce, I'm not so sure. Deuce is a little bit more interesting to me. I know that he had the great game against, what was it, Southeastern Mississippi, Alabama State. Who was it that they played that he ran all over? Mercer
School for the Blind, yep.
Yeah. I mean, it was great that he had that big game there against Mercer, but I don't know that got him a ton of money. I do think he will probably land in a decent spot. I have my concerns about him, but I think we kind of Austin and I expressed a lot of that throughout our time on the official last year, kind of the flip-flopping in high schools. He also did that multiple times as a recruit. Now he's in the transfer portal. I have a little bit more concern about Deuce Knight. I mean, Coleman, I think wherever he ends up going, he's going to be a star and a stud. It makes sense from that point of view, like Chris said. I actually think Golesh is a good head coach, but at this point, when you're as proven as Cam Coleman is, you can probably, like I said, go anywhere, get a decent paycheck. I think, Austin, you and Colin were saying this on Campus Life. You, at this point, I think, want to go somewhere that you can just put up a really good season to kind of solidify that draft capital next year. So I think Coleman is, in my opinion, probably making the smart business move for himself. Deuce Knight, I mean, the difference is that I think unless Byron Brown goes there, which I guess is still a possibility because he entered the portal, right?
Yep.
So I guess it's a possibility. Maybe that's what Deuce Knight knows, and so that's why he's already going into the portal. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to stay with Golesh with what he's proven as a coach and a coordinator with quarterbacks that have similar skill talents to yourself. So I'll be curious. I'll be paying attention to where Deuce Knight lands because I don't know that he'll thrive in any situation that he goes to. I still think he's a somewhat raw quarterback. And I don't think that game at Mercer showed me anything to think that he's not. So I don't know that he can just go somewhere right now and be a starter for like any college football program like Coleman can.
I've been trying to think of landing spots that make sense for Deuce Knight, and I don't really have a good one yet. Maybe Florida, if that's what, but if Buster Faulkner thinks that he can work with him, that kind of seems to make sense a little bit to me. but you start thinking about some of the other bigger programs like LSU. Would Lane Kiffin want to work with them? Ole Miss is going to need a replacement, and he was initially thinking about going there, but that was also maybe a Lane Kiffin thing.
Only maybe.
Yeah, only maybe. He never. Yeah. Just storm the field when they beat whoever they beat last year. Forgot who that was.
I forget who that was that they beat. Alabama,
oh, was it it was a Georgia game? No, was it the Georgia game in the rain? Was that the game that he was at? Yeah, remember it was like they barely beat Georgia. That was like Lane Kiffin's big win last year. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Georgia they beat last year.
Yeah. I only said only maybe because Chambliss could be back.
That's true. He could. He is attempting.
Or he could transfer too, even if he is back. But yeah, here's the problem with trying to figure out landing spots.
Well, real quick.
There's like 15 good quarterbacks that could potentially be transferred, like are transferring or could potentially, right? So like we need some landing spots to fill before we can figure it out. But go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know that he would transfer to Ole Miss. A lot of it seemed because of Kiffin. So, like, if you're going that, I would think LSU would be the top of his list. But again, what Chris just said, like, if I'm Kiffin, I think I'm going for a lot of those guys who are much more proven in the portal over a guy who, again, only played one game, despite the talent. Again, I think Deuce Knight has the ability to be a very, very good quarterback. Again, an athletic freak and has all the tools to be a very good quarterback, but he's not proven. Like, I think at this point with Kiffin going to LSU, he's probably going to lean on one of those guys who's proven already in the portal. So I'll be curious. I mean, he's from the Mississippi area, so I don't know if like he goes like, would he take who's the quarterback at Mississippi State? I don't know.
Kamario Taylor. That's Nate's boy. Yeah, he ain't going anywhere. Yeah, he's like a I don't want to say Dollar General version, but like he's like a less popular version of Deuce Knight.
He's the Walmart version to Deuce Knight's Tarjay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want Nate to yell.
Sorry, Nate. No offense. Don't yell at us. We love you.
So I don't know. Like I think I don't know. Lane Kiffin has he really taken a proven guy? I mean, he started the year with Austin Simmons, who was unproven. He turned to Trinidad Chambliss, who was unproven. And before that was Jackson Dart, but wasn't Jackson Dart just like the next guy up at Ole Miss?
Yeah, but I think
he had played a whole year at USC and had been like, moderately successful for a true freshman at USC.
I think he only played for like it was like 5. It was like 5 or it was like
finished out a season for them.
Yeah, he wasn't horrible. The difference is I think expectations at LSU and Ole Miss are a little bit different. That I don't know that he could go in there and just be like Deuce Knight. Again, I could be wrong. Lane Kiffin could prove me wrong. I don't know that he would go in and be like, I'm gonna take Deuce Knight as the guy here and run it with him.
I figured it out while you were talking. The spot that makes the most sense for Deuce Knight. Arizona State.
Could be cool.
I mean, Dillingham has taken those guys.
There are in the Campus to Canton athleticism database, there are 3 QBs that are better athletes than Deuce Knight. Can you name them?
I know Lenora Sellers.
Nope.
Lenora Sellers is not up there. I know Anthony Richardson is.
Anthony Richardson is one of them.
Malik Willis.
Nope.
Are they like recent? Give us a hint.
Yes, they're all since 2007. They were all early first round NFL draft picks. Anthony Richardson is one of them.
Anthony Richardson's one.
Josh Allen?
Josh Allen is 2. Yeah. Those are the top 2, 1 and 2. Richardson, Allen.
Man, who's 3? I really thought Sellers was above him, but
Mahomes couldn't have been athletic.
Nah, he's a little bit behind him, but not by much. He's a 98.8th percentile Patrick Mahomes.
Andrew Luck?
Jamarcus Russell.
Oh God, that's a name for the archives right there. Good old Jamarcus Russell.
So yeah, those are the 3 that but I mean that's the level of athlete we're talking about here. Other guys right behind him: Colin Kaepernick, Dante Culpepper, Steve McNair, Andrew Luck, Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, Joey Harrington, Patrick Mahomes.
What a group.
On and on and on here. So Robert Griffin III, Drake May, Joe Milton. There's some names in here. So
did you know Drake May's brother-in-law played today?
Who's his brother? Oh, the
Ted Hudson, the Coastal Carolina quarterback. They just pop it in like randomly in like the second quarter. Yeah, Ted Hudson, the brother-in-law of Drake May.
Which way? Drake May is married to his sister?
Sister, I think, yeah.
Okay.
What other way would there be?
Can't if he's married to Drake May's sister, then he would be also be his brother-in-law, or like Drake May married.
You need to be married to the sister of Drake May would be better than your sister's married to Drake May.
Oh,
right?
100%. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, cool.
I don't know that we need to have any other thoughts on that. I will just say my antenna go up when things sound bad at Auburn, because I don't trust their admin and I don't trust their boosters to not make a mess out of any particular situation that's occurring there. So I will be interested to see how on edge everybody is around Auburn, depending on how this portal season plays out for them. So it could get ugly quick. This could be they never buy into Golesh, much like they never bought into Brian Harsin. For better, correctly or otherwise, the Harsin one was obviously correct. But
I think the Harsin stuff, and it was a little bit more in tune to the Auburn stuff back then, was the disconnect was the fact that Harsin was like a Northwestern guy that was like, take a 3-star, turn him into like a 5-star producer. And like a lot of that's just from like how you practice, how you strength and condition and things like that. And like the whole effort thing. And I think in the Southeast, it's a little bit different. And so I don't know if you can compare 1-to-1, but I don't think they're the same. Like, I think there's going to be a little bit more respect, and I think Golesh will get it a little bit more from like a recruiting, coaching, like handling players aspect that Harsin never understood or got, because he was working with like people from like kids from Idaho that were like, what else you got going on type of thing. But
shout out to Idaho. No offense to Idaho.
Shout out Idaho. Do we have Idaho listeners?
Oh, 100%.
I'm sure there's
one of our biggest states. One of our biggest states, Idaho.
No way.
Somebody, I want to say is it the Dakotas or Montana that I know is somebody who's been a member for a really long time.
Yeah.
Is Montana?
I'm pretty sure it's Montana.
That does like the yearly calls and stuff with us. Yeah. So we've got some people up that direction.
There's nothing. No, never mind.
Thank you, man.
Nothing else to do but play fantasy football. You know.
Many are saying. All right. Player awards for this year. We have a lot of different categories here. We also have some game awards. Best game, best moment, all that kind of good stuff. But we'll start. I guess with MVP. And I'm not the one that created this list. Was this MVP for fantasy or MVP?
However you want to take it there, boss.
The most valuable player.
I considered all of it for fantasy, to be honest. And I considered it for like more CFF than C2C. Definitely not C2C, more CFF.
Because you didn't win, all of a sudden you're not a C2C guy anymore?
No, because I just think that like I'm talking about players in college. So I'll just talk about them from that lens. I'll let you handle the rest.
Fair enough. That is why we brought you on to this show. So.
I think it's more just because I was available sometimes on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
No.
That was
who's really far down the list. That was really far down the list, Chris. Don't sell yourself short.
Let's just say it was maybe more of a Penn State situation than in terms of. But that's all the further I want to go on that. Yeah. All right. MVP. For this season, Chris and Matt, you didn't put any answers down except for one.
That's not true.
No, okay. You.
What are you talking about, brother?
All your answers are North Texas players. All of your answers are North Texas players.
It's a great season. Great season.
You created this and didn't add anything until 20 minutes ago.
Well, 20 minutes might be giving him more credit than
if we're talking about this behind the scenes. When we discussed this, we were doing the show. I created that show sheet like 5 minutes later. I just sent it to you guys like a day ago. I completely forgot about it. I literally thought you guys have had this thing for like a week. I was like, why are they not putting answers in? This is kind of.
I threw some stuff in 2 days ago. Yeah, I was rocking and rolling. Diego Pavea MVP in my opinion, and the reason why I say that is because he was really pretty strongly consistent. He wasn't expensive in drafts. If you were doing like redraft or best balls. Like if you do C2C, I can't imagine he was considered a highly expensive by any means. And then he turned it up in the playoffs. I think there's some guys that were great in the regular season and some were great in the playoffs. To me, Pavea was great in the regular season and like turned it up a notch when it came to it in the playoffs. So you're not getting anything from a C2C perspective unless you play some weird version of it with CFL, which that's way too cultish. But otherwise, I think from a CFF perspective, he was incredible all year long. So I think Pavea, all things considered, value, cost, etc., I think like just nailed it. Besides, like obviously some of these other names like Caleb Hawkins and things like that, like obviously those guys were great, but I think of like some of the more popular names, I think like he just crushed it.
I will say, Chris, respectfully, I think you have been too deep into the P4 waters with the balling with the bestie for too long, balling with my bestie for too long, because I feel like Byron Brown was more valuable, and he was kind of a post-hype guy that wasn't super expensive this offseason either.
It's true. I'm nailing more formats. If people play just P4, Byron Brown was never in consideration.
Well, you know,
I'm just a fully scalable format guy, and so I'm sorry for that.
Huh. All right.
Is that your pick,
Matt?
Austin? Byron Brown? Oh, you want me to go?
Brown would have been mine, but I also have him as my best fantasy asset. Like I just thought this year, he averaged like 50 fantasy points a game once conference play hit. The playoffs, I think he had over 50 points every single week. I mean, he was just every roster I had him on. Like I had one roster where the rest of the roster wasn't even that good, and Brown was almost single-handedly like winning me weeks that I had no business winning. So I thought he was the best, most valuable, whatever else player this year for fantasy.
I mean, I took it a little bit of a different route here. For me, it was Jeremiah Love. I thought was arguably one of the best players in college football this year. I don't think Notre Dame would have even been in the playoff race if it was not for him. I mean, I was someone at the beginning of this year who was propping up CJ Carr as maybe like a sleeper at the quarterback position because of his offensive coordinator, whose name's escaping me at the moment, Mike Denbrock. But realistically, if you go through and look at what Notre Dame did this year, a lot of that comes down to just how good Jeremiah Love was. I mean, a ton of games over 100 rushing yards. He had one over 200. He was kind of moved his way into the Heisman race toward the end of the season. Again, I don't think they would have really even been in the playoff discussion if it were not for him. He was banged up a lot toward the end of the year and was still rushing for over 100 yards. I think was just a player. Now, if you're talking about cost and everything else, as Chris was saying, yeah, he was, if you were drafting this year, he was probably one of the first running backs off the board. He was obviously already rostered in a lot of C2C leagues, but overall, just from a college football perspective, he was also more fun to watch. I'll just be honest, this may be like a get off my lawn thing. Diego Pavia just gets on my nerves. So they would never vote for him, very much like whoever it was, Chris Fowler, who regretted voting for him for the Heisman. I'm right there with you, Fowler, whoever it was. I would not have voted for Diego Pavia. Jeremiah Love, backer all day long.
I think it's fair. I think what's really fun about Love is the fact that he came into the year, there were doubts about like usage from a CFF perspective. And he smashed it. Like they let him just run wild and they gave him a ton of snaps. So I think that was like a cool little angle that was an added bonus on top of the fact that, in 2024, he was like super efficient. He had added volume this year, which is great.
Best fantasy asset to roster. Chris.
I went Kewan Lacey. I think I looked at this from like you benefited greatly this year, but you also are going to benefit next year from it. And like your two guys definitely could, but things with the transfer portal could impact it. To me, like Lacey's either staying at Ole Miss or he's going to LSU. The situation's the same and you're in a great spot. So I think Kewan Lacey, who Matt, you love, so I'm sure you appreciate this answer, but I think like for him, he was incredible. His volume was awesome. His touchdowns were awesome. Like every part of him was awesome. And guess what? Like you feel good about it. And no matter what next year, you're going to be in the same great spot. I think there's a lot of players that are incredible this year and they hit the portal and you get 60 cents on the dollar, and I think with Lacey, you get 98 cents on the dollar, worst case scenario. So I think that's why added value of that future, but also the fact that he was incredible this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love the pick of Kewan Lacey. I have him for a different category, so that's why I didn't put him here. I've rostered him, I'm pretty sure, on all, if not most of my C2C leagues. I love everything he did. I mean, he set the Ole Miss rushing touchdown record this year. That's how good he was. I went with Caleb Hawkins. The league that I won the championship in, the league of record, bunch of, big names in the industry. Somehow this guy pulls off the championship fairly easily. And a lot of that was due to Caleb Hawkins, who, I mean, again, just 1,400 rushing yards, 25 rushing touchdowns this year, 370 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. You know, Chris, I know you said he's in the transfer portal. Maybe that changes. I don't think it does. I don't think it matters where he goes, unless he goes to, like, I guess I can't say it doesn't matter where he goes. It probably does matter where he goes.
Guys have never transferred to a place where other great players also play the same position. That's never happened.
I mean, if the rumors are true and that he ends up following, his head coach there to Oklahoma State, I think he can come close to replicating this exact same thing again, at least 2 more years, if not 3, as well from a fantasy side of things. I think Caleb Hawkins was just an absolute stud this year. So yeah, he was my pick. Could have been used for other categories here, but I decided to go with this one because, again, it was really because of him that I just trounced all these big name industry guys in the league of record.
Matt, do you agree that Caleb Hawkins has to be careful with his landing spot choice?
Yes, yeah,
that's real careful. He's a guy to me that I think there are a lot of spots where he's not going to be very good next year.
Sure, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think if he's the Alabama running back next season?
No, he won't do
highly
that.
Coveted? I'm just saying though, I think there's plenty of options where Caleb Hawkins tanks his value. It wouldn't surprise me. And the fact that he was so good this year, it's almost he was incredible. Why wouldn't a team like Alabama want him, right? And so that's why I'm wrong. Give me Kejuan Lacey because of that.
My fear with Kejuan Lacey is if, let's say, he goes to LSU, if he follows this, does that actually happen at LSU? I don't know that it does. What? If he stays at Ole Miss, I don't know that he has the same year that does. I think it's going to be better than Caleb Hawkins. If we're using Alabama as the school here, if Hawkins were to go to Alabama, yeah, it would be. I don't know that it would be. Actually, I don't know that it would be bad. They don't have a great offensive line, so maybe it wouldn't. But Caleb Hawkins,
new quarterback, new receiver.
Keelan Russell, that's even better. As long as they get rid of Ty,
potentially.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I'm all excited. I almost said a bad word. You're welcome.
We're gonna go off topic here for a second because I have a take on this.
Oh boy, here we go.
As a not SEC apologist by any stretch of the imagination, somebody in the chat said another L for the SEC tonight. They're 2-4 in bowl games. The Big Ten is 6-0. I think using and Span Marchiola 7260. I'm not. This isn't a shot at you. I think using bowl records to determine strength of conference is maybe the dumbest thing that we do as a college football society do, because I think there are misaligned incentives in almost every single bowl game matchup nowadays. Most teams don't give a shit.
Would 5 years ago Austin say this?
Yes, but to a lesser degree. I think it's been amplified over the past couple of years.
For sure.
I think really the last 10 to 15 years, we've really seen that phenomenon take hold. But I think in a lot of bowl matchups, I just think a lot of these teams just don't care at all. It's blatantly obvious.
So if everybody is in the same boat, why is it not the same though?
Well, I think a lot of these bowl games, it's because who cares more in a Missouri or Virginia matchup?
Missouri.
Virginia.
So there we go. It shouldn't matter. I think
I think Virginia cares so much more. Now, I'm not saying every SEC matchup is like that, but a lot of the times they get matched up by the ACC schools. Virginia.
Yeah, but Virginia.
Everyone talked crap on us all year. We should have won the ACC. We just missed out. We'll go out and we'll beat Missouri and we'll show everybody.
Yeah.
Missouri's that was the biggest kick in the nuts at the end of the season. Our QB's in the portal. Let's just go home.
The QB Probula was average and missed a bunch of games anyways. Yeah. And Virginia missed conceivably their best player and had defensively their best player out as well. So I don't disagree. I don't think as much as I like to poke Jared about this, anytime it goes in my favor, of course, but never if it doesn't go in my
obviously.
Favor. I think there's some validity to it. I think more now than ever, Big Ten is just as strong as SEC has ever been. like comparatively. And so, like, yeah, if it tilts in the face, why not? SEC fans for years touted this whole bowl game thing where it's like, oh, did Florida beat Iowa in Tampa? Like, okay, sure. It was like basically a home game. Like, why are we not taking any consideration into that? So yeah, like I think why not at this point? Like, sure, is valid? No, but like why not? Why not? 6-0 versus 2-4 is pretty.
It's pretty drastic.
Pretty
I think the incentives matter more than like the opt-outs. Like I just think want in college sports and athletics as a whole matters a lot, especially as you get to that upper level and there's so little separating people to that extent. Like, you know, the motivation factor. That's just always been an opinion of mine. So, just saying. Best sleeper this year? Chris, you didn't even have anybody on here.
Sleeper's a weird term for me. I play in way too many weird stuff. I just couldn't even think of anybody that was like, was it my sleeper? Is it like somebody else's sleeper? So I'll let you guys have it, and I'll come back in a couple of words. I went blank for one.
I think both of these are good answers because I think both of them qualify as sleepers from draft season.
Yeah, I mean, mine's Cam Cook. He was obviously transferred down from TCU to I always get it mixed up. Jacksonville State, right? Or Jackson State?
Jacksonville State.
Obviously, I don't love that he hit the portal, but I guess it kind of makes sense with the year he had. But I mean, he was a guy that I loved when we did our freshman supplemental guide. I was a big fan of his. I thought he was going to be really good at TCU. Did I don't want to say absolutely nothing, but was not impressive as a true freshman there at TCU. Transfers down. I imagine
he played 2 years there, Matthew. He played 2 years.
Did he really play 2 years at
TCU?
Yeah,
and the second year was real bad, and he had like 115 carries too. I forgot about that. I had to look at it because we talked about it last night on Campus Life, and I was
literally so did I.
Oh Jesus, he played a full season worth of snaps and stunk.
But obviously, you know, when he made the move, I know I will give one other person credit on this because I actually did a video on the YouTube channel when it happened. Like I went live. I was like, let's go Cam Cook. And I'm pretty sure I said in the video, he's going to have an incredible year. There was some other analyst, or if we want to call him an analyst, just a good looking guy in general, that stood with me on this hill. And we fought off all kinds of people, all the naysayers, all the haters. Colin Decker. Round of applause to you, my friend. On Campus Live, he said the same thing. And I believe, I don't honestly remember who it is now at this point, but it was because of their offensive coordinator. He was with Rasheen Ali at Marshall, and we both kind of mentioned that. I mentioned it in the video. He mentioned on Campus Live a couple times saying, hey, like this could actually be a big thing for Cam Cook. Think he could be a little bit of a sleeper. So Colin Decker was also my best sleeper of the year with a great call of Cam Cook.
The only thing I have to disagree with that is the only good-looking people at C2C are currently on air live right now. There's nobody good-looking besides that.
Calling in his butt chin? You gotta be kidding me.
Come on. I'm gonna post a picture of Colin.
What percentage of our listeners do you think were around for that when Colin did that on that show? Colin, something happened, I think, with Penn State. And so he came on a live show wearing a brown paper bag on his head, but it didn't go the whole way down to like his shoulders. It came down to like here,
right?
And just his little dimple butt chin was just poking out the bottom. And Matt laughed the entire show. Like
it wasn't just me; it was Felix too. It wasn't even because of that. It was because like the butt chin was there, but then it was like we started talking about Django Unchained because the bag scene. Have you ever seen Django Unchained?
Yeah, I think we can all agree the holes were a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like we appreciate the effort. You know, it was a very funny thing. You'll have to go find it. It was back when what was that? It wasn't even College Fantasy Tonight, which is what it is now. What was it? It was Coast to Coast. That was when Felix hosted. We used to have all kinds of guests. It was Coast to Coast. It was the very first year. We used to have guests on all the time and everything to break down games. We used to do little segments and bits. That was a big thing. I jumped on from backstage one time, made you guys all laugh about a Kyle McCord thing. That was a great show. That was a lot of fun back in the day. But yes, it was a very, very fun episode. Yeah, Colin's a good looking guy. I got your back, Colin. I got your back.
I said Drew Mestemaker because there were people drafting him, and there were people that thought that he was better than I can't even remember his name anymore.
Reese Poffenbarger.
Yeah, Poffenbarger, and thought that he would end up getting the job there. You know, I don't know if that was like good process and you got a good result, or if that was bad I honestly don't know if that was if you came to the conclusion that Mestamaker was the guy in like April, if that was good or bad process.
It's good process just because you should just be drafting that quarterback in that scenario. Like, I mean, if Poffenberger won the job, whoever took him was the right guy. But I don't know how much of a sleeper fit it is, as much as it's just good process. Like you just like John Mateer 2 years ago or last year, right? Like he won the job. He was incredible. Like it was kind of like just inevitable of just who won the job, and you go from there. But I think that's why me personally, I struggle with some of these best balls with like the full FBS because I just don't take shots on like Danny Scudero or Mateer or Mesta. Like I just don't waste picks on taking two guys, and so it bites me. But yeah,
I'm terrible at those like massive round whole FBS best balls. It's not my game at all. Not creative enough for that. Favorite player to roster. Another one that Chris didn't have nothing, but he certainly felt like yelling at me for not having a name on every.
I have a name on almost every other award. The problem with this, and this leaks into, I talked about this on Burning Red Shirt with Andrew. You guys might hear Andrew in the near future as well. But I do props and stuff, and so my lineups when it comes to like Fantrax and C2C and stuff, like it just. Like I don't know. I just don't care all that much. And so like my favorite players to roster are the guys that like win me money and props. Like give me the immediate satisfaction. So I just couldn't think of anybody that like did that for me.
Do you know who won you the most money this year?
I mean, I think I bet Adam Randall overs all year and it worked out very well. But I can't think of anybody besides that really was all that beneficial from a consistency basis.
Mine was Kewan Lacey. I mentioned earlier that after Chris said I've got him in a different category again. He's a player I did not give up on. Much like Cam Cook was a guy who did not do much his freshman season when he entered the portal, especially when he left Missouri in a place that we thought was going to be a really good spot for him as he signed there as a true freshman. Goes to Ole Miss. I don't remember who he was competing with to begin.
Diggs.
And
Damian Taylor from Troy.
I think it was Taylor. Like during spring, there was a lot of people who were like talking about how Lacey wasn't even going to be the guy to lead the backfield. So just to see him kind of thrive again, he was another player that I was really big on for our freshman supplemental guide. A guy that I really kind of, I don't know, I would say stood behind, but what was a player that I really kind of advocated for, was a big fan of his as a player. So I roster him in a lot of places, and just to see him produce that this last year was a lot of fun to watch.
You know, we were talking about falling butt backwards into stuff earlier. I had a roster this year that fell butt backwards into my starting running backs as Cam Cook and Kewan Lacey because I just didn't have enough. Like I probably would have considered cutting both of them, but just had other fires to put out, and that ended up working out.
It's funny how that works.
Pleasantly well for me, because otherwise I'd have been real effed at the running back position. So I put Malachi Toney down. I think those freshmen that you were able to draft pretty late, at least until like you can't anymore. Like Toney for a lot of the offseason was dirt cheap. Toney and Bachmeier, I think, were probably my two favorite freshmen to draft this year, because they were both cheap until they weren't. There were a lot of months there where you could get them for basically nothing, and I think they both were super impressive this year. So I think those two, really any freshman, I think when you hit a freshman pick, especially at a pick that turns out to be in a startup last year, I think I took Malachi Toney in that startup that we all did together. And I took him in like the 15th round or something like that. Where is he going to if you're doing a startup this year, the second round?
Probably.
I mean, that's a lot of, I traded him for Jordan Tyson. So I don't have him anymore, but it's a lot of value accrual. So I think those guys are the most fun when you hit on them. JKS is another one that I really like to roster. I had to trade for him a bunch. Bo Jackson, those freshmen that you kind of hit on at good value is a good time.
Can I admit something right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm in my OG Dynasty League, like 15 years deep, 12 years deep. I had Byron Brown, Damon Williams, Cameron Dickey. I picked up Caleb Hawkins midseason. I have Decoria Moore, Malachi Toney, Wayne Knight, and I didn't even I finished like second or third worst in the league. Like, how is that even possible?
You just have a lot of points against.
I just
bad schedule luck.
I was third worst. Yeah, no, but my scoring wasn't all that impressive. I think I just didn't play Byram early enough, maybe. I don't know, man. In hindsight, I'm like, what did I just do? It's really not great.
Always next
but
gen.
How did that even happen? I think what happened was I was already kind of out of it when I picked up some of these guys. Like,
you had to have been, because I picked up Hawkins like week 2 and pretty much started him from then on. And I mean, dude, there's like maybe one game in there he didn't put up 20 plus points in that entire time.
I don't know. That's why I said, can I admit something? Because I'm not proud of it.
You know, I bet it was the tight end position that got you there.
Yeah,
this is a weird one where you could. I'm not going to get into it. It's a special rule where you don't have to play a tight end technically.
Okay, so that was not the problem.
You could have just ran with that and be like, "Yep, that was it. You guys got it. That's what it was."
Just couldn't ever figured it out.
Nope. My receivers were awful. Like, as much as Tony was awesome, like DeCorian Moore was cool, but it wasn't like that cool. Like, I had basically 3 dead spots at receiver every single week.
Tony, I didn't realize Tony finishes a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy. I mean, an incredible season for a true freshman.
Yeah, especially if you played in return leagues, because he picked up some yardage on that side of things. Who won you a league?
I have an answer for this. Evan Dickens. Oh. Ask Nate how that went. Evan Dickens, which is incredible because I actually drafted him in this league, which I'm pretty proud about. It's super deep. It was like 20 or 24 teams maybe. And I mean, he was incredible. Best ball league, but I mean, he just nailed it at the end. This is one of those ones, right? Like I talked about Kewan Lacey, where you're going to get 98%, 98 cents on the dollar. I'm probably getting 30 cents on the dollar on this Evan Dickens transfer portal. But you know what? He died a hero, and I don't have to get mad at him about it.
Well, if he stayed at Liberty on the 3rd day, I think he would have rose, but that's going to happen now.
I'll keep mine short since I've talked a lot about both these guys, but it is the 2 running backs that finishes number 1 and 2 in fantasy, and that's Caleb Hawkins and Cam Cook. Again, both very, very cheap in fantasy this last year. Austin just said he backed into having Cam Cook as one of his starters. I think you put Kewan Lacey up there as well, but those 2 were key cogs in my championship winning team.
Yeah, I had put Cook down, notably before Matthew, but
Well, that's why I put Caleb Hawkins too.
Best waiver pickup.
It's Caleb Hawkins. Yeah,
that's the answer.
It is, but there's another one. There's another name that you could give that might have won you. Skylar Bell. No, well, I put all the UNT guys because Drew Messermaker was on waivers for some of the leagues that I was in as well, because I believe that it got announced super late. We did the League of Record, the one that I was talking about, Austin, I think was what we did super late, the draft. I think you actually grabbed him in the draft late in that league. There was another one that I was doing. I got him in like the 14th round. It was pretty close to the season starting because they announced so late that he was going to be the guy over Poffenbarger. But Skylar Bell led wide receivers in fantasy points. He was another guy that I believe was on the waiver wire. I don't think you can look at roster ships anymore, can you? On Fantrax, but okay. So I mean, he was. I actually might have it saved really quick because I tried to put notes on some of this stuff to look into during the season. If I can find it really quick, he was last that I looked on there. He was only still rostered in 10% of leagues. Again, that
you can still
everything.
See that part. You just can't see like who owns guys in like
right. Okay, yeah. So for those of you listening though, that doesn't like separate out C2C, CFF, anything like that. But still pretty low considering. Again, the guy was incredible. I think he was a senior, so he probably can't come back next year. But again, it was a guy who was on the waiver wires, led wide receivers, at least in the leagues I'm in. I'm sure there's different ones with different scoring, but he over 300 points from the wide receiver position with great pickup.
Yeah, incredible pickup. I would say the only reason why I think Hawkins is the better option is because you get another year, 2 years of him, right? Like
at least,
I think that's like obviously the trump card, but like most of the leagues that we play on are more than redraft and best ball, right? It's dynasty, it's C2C. So like from that angle, like I'm going to take obviously the Hawkins who has options in the future.
Skylar Bell might have some NFL value.
You think so?
I took him in one of my origin drafts already.
What do you think of the fact that he did nothing in the bowl game?
We just
without Fragano?
Bowl games don't matter.
I mean,
And another
bowl
one
games
that
means something if you go. Did he like literally catch nothing in the bowl game?
you want
He
to
like
talk
made
about,
this
like,
whole big deal about like playing the bowl game. Of course I'm playing the bowl game, and then he literally caught nothing.
misaligned motivation in that one, baby. Army versus a UConn team
No,
that their
stop,
quarterback isn't
stop.
playing and their coach left.
Stop. I do not care. If you are a NFL receiver worth a damn, you catch a pass. I'm sorry. You catch a pass. That's all I'm saying. I don't care. There's not a lot of motivation. I need to catch a pass.
Just to point this out and why it is exactly Caleb Hawkins, he would have finished, because typically in leagues like this, quarterbacks score much more than everybody else. He would have finished as the number 15 quarterback on the season with how many points that he scored. Outscored Skylar Bell by like 70 points.
He was insane. Yeah, it was insane for sure.
I don't want to go through all of these categories. Let's do players to trade for. Or we'll talk about this, I'm sure multiple times, but just kind of like your instant reaction. The season just ended.
I have names and you guys have nobody.
I didn't want to put mine on here.
Go for it. Go first.
Go ahead, Chris. You go first.
You've got two names.
No, Austin, you go first. Go.
Yeah.
Marquise Davis is my name that I like. He's probably rostered in most C2C formats. I think he's going to land somewhere and be really like this is Kewan Lacey V2 all over again. That's why that Ahmad Hardy stuff never made any sense for Missouri to go out and get him last year, because I just think they had guys that were just as good in-house. I don't know how much they had to pay him. I'm assuming they're going to have to pay him even more to retain him. Marquise Davis for me.
I have a baby situation that I got to run, but I'll give my two names and then I'm out. I think these are unique names. Kewan Brown, Louisville. I think there's a little bit smoked. I think there's a real shot that Isaac Brown leaves Louisville. So that leaves one Brown for Louisville. And I think he was incredible. It's 90 yards plus the last 5 games on not a ton of usage. So I'm really interested to see. And I always thought watching him, he'd look good. And then to me, Trey'Dez Green, I don't think the numbers pop, but the touchdowns are just consistent. And he's huge, athletic freak, and a tight end. I think you could really get it. If you're playing C2C, I feel like you could really get a game breaker that's super beneficial for you on the NFL side when he does go that route. So I think Trey'Dez Green to me is a stupid, obvious, awesome pickup.
I like it. All right.
Cool. I got to deal with the baby.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Brown is a guy that we liked coming out of high school, right?
Yeah, he was.
Kewan. I'm pulling up that guide from that year right now. We had him. Kewan Brown was our RB 22. I don't know what he was for the services, but I guarantee you it was not RB 22. We were much higher than.
While you're looking him up, I'll give a serious one and then a semi-joking one. Aeneas Williams, I don't even know if he's necessarily rostered by a lot of people, but I do think he's probably the next up running back at Notre Dame. I think I don't know that he will put up Jeremiah Love numbers, but again, even Jadarian Prince was Jared Price, right? I always mix up was also very effective and very good in that run game, both probably going off. I know Love has. I don't know if Price has announced if he's going to the NFL, but I'm pretty sure he's going as well. Both those guys gone. I think he could easily be the guy. Now, they are bringing in 2 really good freshman running backs as well, so I'll be curious to see if they cut into the workload at all. But, I don't know that Kedron Young or Nolan James are really going to compete. I'm sure Kedron Young, just because he's so much different than Aeneas Williams, maybe they can split that backfield a little bit, but Williams is a guy that I would trade for right now. The other one is future Baylor quarterback Austin Novosad, since you guys wouldn't let me talk about him on the transfer portal part.
Walker White is the future Baylor quarterback.
No, he's not. Walker White can't hit the broadside of the barn. Actually, I don't know if he's going to go to Baylor, but it was just going to be my joke. If he does go to Baylor, trade for Austin Novosad, or probably just pick him up off waiver wires, because he's not rostered unless you play in a league with me. So you
still have Novosad? You're calling with Austin Mack.
I do. I've not dropped him.
Oh, no.
I've not dropped him.
Kewan Brown, by the way, was RB 44 in the composite. So we were exactly half of or double whatever they were according to the market. So that was a guy that we did like quite a bit that year. So that whole class was actually really, really pretty strong at running back in terms of collegiate running backs. Even though some of the guys that we really liked didn't really work out so much that year. Player who lost in the transfer portal?
Emmett Mosley.
I think that's an interesting answer because I thought he was probably their best receiver down the stretch once he got fully healthy.
Sure, but he still wasn't good.
I mean, I've never thought that Emmett Mosley was that good.
That's fair, but I mean, he transfers out, goes to Texas. There's, I would say, not even people like here with C2, myself included. I thought he would have a good season. There's a lot of people who saw that move up for him going to Texas as being like he's going to secure himself like day 2 draft capital. And I would not be. The problem is like, yeah, okay, fine. He was better toward the end of the year. And I don't know how much of this is him, Manning, just that whole offense not being good. But like, he didn't show me anything that makes me even wonder, like, if he's going to, I'm sure he'll be a starter next year, but like, it gives me no confidence to think he's going to do anything next year either, or even. So for a guy who transferred up to Texas and was expected to do a lot, in my opinion, I kind of feel like lost the transfer portal there.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play till week 6 because he was injured, and then basically was a starter after that. No huge games, like you said. I think his best one, he had 2 touchdowns against Mississippi State, but only 4 for 53. He had 7 for 69 and a touchdown against Vanderbilt, and then 4 for 81 against Arkansas. Those were probably his biggest games of the year, his best games. He finished with 23 catches on 43 targets for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns. So,
yeah, I mean, the free square was like Jackson Arnold, but I didn't want to take, because I wasn't big on Jackson Arnold.
I mean, did he lose out because he either would have been not played at Oklahoma, or I guess he proved that he was bad. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think you could, if you're going through the whole like full circle here, I don't know if people would agree with me on this. I think John Mateer did kind of as well. I don't think he was that good at Oklahoma. He didn't put up any fantasy points for you too. He had like 3 great weeks,
but
3 great weeks. And then I'm sure a lot of people will blame it on the injury, and we'll see what happens next year. But I don't know. I assume he'll be the starter at Oklahoma because they made the playoffs, but
I think I'm on the record on at least one show having already said this offseason, but if I'm Oklahoma, I'm at least browsing the transfer portal QB section here in the next couple of weeks to see what is available personally. But I've heard some reports like they can't really get out of what the agreement that they have with him anyway. That's just a rumor that I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not, but like he just,
I mean,
wasn't very good. And he was bad in ways that I don't think you fix.
Even if they can't get out of the contract with him, though, they've got the money. I would go get someone and still make him the starter. You don't have to be a
all
starter.
The other 3 stars they brought in this year, they certainly weren't spending it on freshmen this coming year.
Yeah.
That class stinks.
When you look at that, would you take Sorsby over him?
Yes.
I think Lagway, I don't know if I'm being biased because of what I think the talent is.
It would depend what the quoted cost is in terms of which one there I'd prefer. Like if I don't know what John Mateer is making. Let's pretend John Mateer is making $1.5 million next year, and I can get Lagway for like $1 million or less. Like I would think that maybe it's just like a similar player, and I make a little bit of savings on it. But
so is Sorsby the only one in the portal that you would take?
I would take Levitt over him.
Okay, I was going to say that. I'm glad
you
said it first because I think I'm viewed as a Levitt homer
because of Arbuckle's offense with they're easy downfield reads that are open if you are willing and able to hit them.
You know who else I would think about? It's funny that he jumped in the chat because he's one of his big backstage because one of his biggest fans because of that offense as well. I don't think it hurts so much of a gunslinger quarterback like Hoover. I think I'd take Hoover over him too.
I'd be happier having Mike Valerie is backstage and is now shirtless after you said that. So we are not going to bring him on. But I think there are several QBs in the portal. But again, it maybe comes down to cost and all of that.
Yeah.
But because I do think like we talked about what were our issues with Oklahoma coming into this year, where like we thought the offensive line was going to be very, very bad.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure at the skill position depth. And I think those were kind of the 2 issues. But I think the offensive line issue will resolve itself over the next year or 2. The skill position is to be determined because I'll tell you, of all like the borderline blue blood or higher programs, I don't think there's a team that has a more disappointing recruiting class next year, in my estimation, at the offensive skill positions than Oklahoma. The wide receivers that they bring in, it's just a bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of roster gunk that's going to sit there and not do anything. I think all those wide receivers are really, really bad. I don't believe I have draftable grades on any of them, and it's an offense that if any of them were worth a darn, I would certainly be interested in it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find my highest rated Oklahoma QB is maybe, or a wide receiver is maybe Jaden Pettit at like wide receiver 59 for me. Yes. Yeah. Daniel Odom, Pettit, and then Jasir Rogers is my wide receiver 70. Xavier Okwufuluezi is wide receiver 90. Like I don't think any of these guys are good at all. So I mean, we'll see, but it's a pretty bad overall. Did you have a best game of the season?
I really want to you want to just finish out the player ones? I really want to talk about my overrated and transfer portal.
Oh, okay.
I was going to be facetious on the best game. I was like, yes, when Ohio State beats Indiana for the national championship on January or February or whatever it was going to be.
The Oracle, Matthew Bruening.
Which one you want to do? Won the transfer portal or overrated player?
Overrated player.
Cade Klubnik. Came into the season, y'all hated on me. Y'all talked all this crap about, he's a top 5 quarterback because he was really good 1 year in fantasy football. And what was he this year? I think he was down as quarterback 50. That's it.
Maybe.
Overrated. Yeah. Why?
Player who
but I
won
still
the
love you, Chris Mosley. Connor Wigman. And I don't think that's a name that many people are talking about.
Good answer.
I mean, and this is for you, Colin Decker. I know you're not going to watch this, but I'm pointing at the camera for you. I love you, buddy. Connor Wigman's biggest fan, one Colin M. Decker. Middle name Michael, if you didn't know that. I don't know if that's his middle name.
I don't believe that's correct, but I don't know enough to really refute that. So
Colin Michael Decker nailed this one with being a Connor Wigman fan. I mean, goes to Houston. I don't think any of us expected him to be even decent. Was a top 10 quarterback in fantasy this year. I was trying to.
He had some big weeks to end toward the back end of the season,
yeah,
especially on a rushing touchdown perspective. Yeah,
he was very good to finish out the season. Yeah, he finished as QB9. 400 points on the season, and you wouldn't expect it kind of looking at the stats, 2,700 passing yards to the 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It was the rushing. 700 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns was really good. Again, I don't know that he bounced back any kind of draft capital. He was a guy that at least Colin and myself were talking about maybe being an NFL guy one day, but that was a great move for him to go to Houston. And because of how good he was, I still think there's, as much as I love Keyshawn Henderson, I wonder if because Wigman still got 1 year left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So wonder if maybe they let Wigman take the reins 1 more year and Henderson learn under him. Again, I think Henderson's a phenomenal, my QB1 in this current class. But I mean, with how good Wigman was, I just don't see how they kick him out the door. Hasn't entered the portal yet, so could easily have another really good year for Houston.
Let's also remember that Keyshawn Henderson plays for the fakest sounding named high school in the country and doesn't play very good competition.
Legacy Sports, yes. Yeah, it is School of Science, yeah. And right around Houston, Texas, yeah.
Yeah, they play a pretty bad strength of schedule. So I think there's a real chance that there's some acclimation period there, especially because he's only been playing QB full-time for 2.5 years. So
yeah.
I think having a guy in place there is probably good for them. I put him on Hardy because I think Hardy's going to fool some people into thinking that he's an NFL draft talent. I don't think he is. I just don't think he is. I think this is a team that just is going to be successful running the ball, even if I'm back there. We talked about this with Tennessee's QB situation. It's the same thing. A monkey can run Tennessee's offense. A monkey could run the ball for 1,000 yards in Missouri. It's just what they do. I watch Hardy and I just think a lot of this stuff is just he's super physical, but not in the good way. That's the only solution that he has to pretty much every problem. It was the problem that I had with Tank Bigsby coming out of college too. To a different degree. I was just he has one solution to any problem in his toolbox, and if he can't use it, it just doesn't work for him. And Ahmad Hardy is the exact same way to me. I think he's going to fool people because he's in the SEC now, but so he won, but I'm not, and that's good for fantasy. We had this exact discussion earlier this year, and you were I was he'll be good for fantasy, but I still don't think he's good. And you were on he's not going to be good for fantasy. I remember us having that discussion because Nate Marquise didn't leave you alone for 4 or 5 months on that one.
Well, again, I mean, I think it's maybe that's on me because I do believe coaching and systems matter a lot more in college football than maybe the NFL. And that was my biggest thing. I just don't think Ahmad Hardy is a overly talented running back. He's not meant as any offensive. He's a much better athlete and football player than I'll ever be. But like, I just didn't expect him because of what I think of him as a player was going to be that good. But yeah, he proved me wrong. I think I owe Woody a shirt. So I'll be working on that. I'm going through schools diligently over the past couple of days to get you and Woody your shirts.
Let me know when mine's on.
Yeah. I'm working diligently. I'm gonna make sure that you absolutely love the shirt that you're getting. So
perfect. I got a few more shirts for Christmas. It was a good Christmas. I got an Arizona State one. I got a nice Oregon one.
I love my Oregon one. I got puddles on mine. I love it.
I don't have puddles, but I do have the duck.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's show. And Drew does say Deuce Knight to OU. I mean, that would be interesting, but I think if you're looking for a scaled up version on the mental side of things, like this might be like an opposites thing. Like you're like, we're going to find a guy that's a little less mobile, but can read a defense. Maybe they're going to try to do that, but I wouldn't say no. So
I think he'd sit behind Mateer. I don't think there's any way they'd start him. So
yeah, unfortunately. That's going to do it for this week's show, guys. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. Ran out of time, but we will get him rescheduled for next week. Make sure you're checking out everything over at campus2canton.com and all the other shows here on the lovely, lovely podcast feed. Happy New Year to all of our listeners. I'm sure maybe we'll talk resolutions to some degree next week. So Matt, you can start chewing on that. But from Matt Bruening, from the recently departed Chris K, from us, Nace, good night. Good luck.